Hello and welcome to a summary video for my recently played Irish Exile campaign. I didn't originally intend for this to be an Exile campaign, but the British had other ideas. Here's where I ended up having my capital. It's Larne City over in modern day Huronia. And we've built it up pretty well. It's not the biggest city in the world, we'll get to that later. But here is the entire realm that we have. All of these here are client states. It got to the point when I was snowballing I could not keep up with the admin costs, and so I simply made satellite states. We've got Native Republic here, we've got the Texan Republic, the Cali Republic, the Yucatec Republic, and of course Shoshone, who is a native tribe. If we're going to have a look at the development for the region, we have done alright. Of course, the big one here in Larne, and there's some other ones like New Donegal over here, and you got Slonigal, and you got Halifax, and there's a few other little areas dotted about. Down here you have Port Mayo and Glenfield, Knockwood Forest, and the likes. But if we do compare it to Europe, it's not quite on the level. Europe is much more developed, including the most developed city in the world. Not Lublau. It's here somewhere. Krakow! Krakow is the most developed city in the world. The Polish reign supreme when it comes to building civilization, it seems. Anyway, let's have a look at the cultural map mode. Irish. I spent so many dip points just giving the Irish people a home, since the British did not want to play fair and they kicked us out of our homeland. I did try a couple of times to reclaim this, but it's just so hard to land an army. Of course, I built up a big navy and I was able to land some troops, but you could never quite get them all there at the same time with the attrition. So I was a failure in that regard. But still, I'm pretty happy with what we achieved over here, and of course, my client states. If we do look at the great powers, we are in second to the Ottomans. The Otto blob is huge. They took over all of Austria, and then all of the Arabian Peninsula and all of Ethiopia. They really went to town. They did great, and Spain did pretty good as well. I, of course, vacuumed up their colonies that were around here. Again, we look at the cultural map mode. Wait, that's the player map mode. Let's have a look at cultural map mode. So many Mexicans. The English did have some colonies, but they're mostly around Canada and Chesapeake Bay. So I was able to culturally enrich the settlers who were there. There's a few English that we did exile up to the mountains in the snow, but there's also Americans here and the Blackfoot tribe. I wanted to try and have these guys culturally enrich these areas a bit more, which is why I made them the native republics, but still they accept the Mexicans. And of course these guys are all almost entirely Mexicans. These were Castilian colonies that I took over there. But hey, another interesting thing is, if we go and have a look at our country here, the royal family is Tzotzil, and they also share the dynasty of France. These guys down here allied France pretty early in the game, and they just spread their family name across the European dynasties. Well, I say across, they passed it on to France and to Sligo. It's a shame. It's a shame I was never able to form Ireland. I was relatively close at one point, but then the British just said, "Right, get out of here, you Irish fellows," and well, we made the new world home. Let's go ahead and have a look at the timeline here. So we're going to start down where we started, down in Sligo. And we did relatively well for a start, but we did get caught up with the lack of alliances. The Brit or the English moved in relatively fast here, and the Scottish were very useless allies. I was hoping I could use them and the French to launch invasion into here at some point, but ultimately it was never to be. We unified this little, this over half of Ireland, and then we were soundly kicked out all at once. Actually, they didn't even give us a little bit of a home. When did that happen? Just after the turn of the century? Yes, just after the turn of the century, they kicked us out, and we went over here, and it was really a race for the new world from there. As you see, we were lucky enough that we could reach Newfoundland, and from there we're able to create a sort of base where we were able to go after the English colonies as they spread, and then the Native Americans and such. As you see here, we did move into Nova Scotia. We took that over. My capital was this area here, Slonigal, for quite a while. It was only later when I built Larn over here. But up until the end of the game, really, I was renaming everywhere. Lots of places I simply named what they're called in the modern day, like Boston and Annapolis and Halifax. But a lot of the places I went to a Wikipedia page listing every village and city in Ireland, and I just picked out all kinds of random ones, and we'll have another look at that afterwards. I felt like as I was pushing the Irish culture, I should also be pushing the names on the landscape as a sort of alternate history, and it worked out relatively well, I think. It was very fun, just picking out these new areas and creating my own little cultures in the regions. Around here now is when we start having to butt heads with the Spanish as well. For a while there, the Spanish were my allies as I was trying to build alliances to go after the English. But when they had Florida here, I had to turn that up on its head and go after them, which ultimately did lead to a big war with Spain itself, and they kicked my ass. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and get close to when that does occur. Here we go. So we took over this region here, and then later we are going to go after the Spanish anytime now. There we are. So we went after the Spanish, and then the Spanish came right back for us. There we go. We lost all of this land, which was more than we initially took, but we were able to have our vengeance, and we didn't have to wait long. There, see, we took it right then, and we started to really clear up all of these regions and take them out. This area was very well developed by the British, but I ended up turning that into one of my colonial states. Not colonial states, my the native republic. Client states, that was the word. Yes, now we're really starting to push out Florida. And the good thing about an exile government is when you get going, you can really get going. The big nations do nothing to help their colonies when you invade them. It's terrific. As this here was about close to my ending borders, really. We did also take Louisiana. Oh, wait, this never happened. What on earth is this? I think this might be broken. Yes, I think this might be very broken. This is some alternate fantasy the Spanish had when they reclaimed their territory. But yeah, that never happened. Oh, that's a shame. Although it is accurately showing how I took over these lands in the ending of the game there. But it didn't show how they were given to the other client states. Interesting. Well, thank you, Paradox. Thank you for that a lot. But yes, this is the player map mode. We own all this. We didn't quite get Alaska. The Portuguese were my friends up until the end as well. Once I got rid of the Spanish, I allied with the French and the Portuguese, and we were able to squeeze out these guys a bit better. And then at the end, I turned on them both to clean up any French and any Portuguese colonies around here. So this here was all Portuguese. If we do switch to culture, it shows in here this was a Portuguese valley, but now it is the Valley of the Shoshone, if I am pronouncing that correctly. I hope so. I would never want to do it incorrectly, but I'm sure I will many a time. But yeah, let's just have a little zoom in on some of these area place names. I did like Port Mayo. I tried to develop a few areas. Every fortress I named after something, and then over here we got Sinead Valley. I liked having a little valley here and naming it Sinead. Covered by a fort here, because this was the border for quite a while. But of course, once we go a bit west, I wasn't able to keep up with the naming. I probably could have, but I decided not to. Sky Glen over here, there's a creamery not far from where I live over on Cape Breton Island called the Sky Glen Creamery. They do the best milk, so I just had to try and get that in there. Fort Vivian, we had a queen named Vivian at one point, so we went ahead and named a fortress after her, and just a lot of these places are named after real places in Ireland today, and well, they got relatively developed. Some of them I just made up myself. Like instead of Quebec, you have Obec. I thought that was a bit more Irish. Moncton is the same, and you got some other places like Kilfergus, Cape Patrick. I thought it was very creative. Cape Mabel, Quigley's Point. Yeah, I tried to look for places where it sounded like it would fit in where I was, like North Wall. This looks like a North Wall to me, and of course I had to just So I went for West Greystones here, and we just renamed this from Eric's to Eric's Town. I thought it was a very fun campaign. Let's just have a look at the ledger here. My income not quite up to scratch with some of the European states, but we were able, of course, to get our development higher than France and Britain and Netherlands. The Netherlands actually owns northern Italy, Scandinavia, Portugal. Of course, the Ottomans and Westphalia. It was very unique to see a German empire rise, which was neither Austria nor Brandenburg. It was very interesting to see Westphalia, but I liked it. I liked it. Of course, we have nothing on the manpower of these great states either. Power projection, of course, 100, because we were constantly fighting our rivals, these Spanish colonies, so that was great. Here's the smallest nation then. These guys. A duchy all the way over here, just in... Okay, great. Anyway, that'll do for a summary video. I just wanted to show off this campaign I did, and yeah, I enjoyed it. E4 is still a good game. Go ahead and play some. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm going to be recording some Crusader Kings 3, some with the Game of Thrones mod. I want to try and get back into that, but the DLC's been very lackluster, I found, but I'll go ahead and have a look. I'll see you guys then. Thank you again for watching. Goodbye.